I've done about as much as I can right now with the body on. So the next step is to go ahead and basically deconstruct everything. Take the doors off, the lids off, the dash out, steering wheel. I need to do all those things and get the body off of here so I can actually start working on the chassis. As I mentioned in previous videos, I need to actually get to the hinge points or the hinge connection points to get those at the exact 30-degree angle, and I really can't do it with the body on. So I'm going to go ahead and get the body off, do a little more sheet metal work on it, then probably try and paint it. So this is the start of the process. Review exactly how I've got the body mounted on here. Now, we can see up here that there, and up there, I have the bolts that are actually holding the sides of the body on. And back here, I have bolts that are holding on the back. I'm going to need to take off the deck lid with those screws up there. Then along the bottom of the body here, I have bolts here that go into this plate up here. So those will have to be taken off. That's on both sides over here. Then on the front, up here, I have the plate, the crossbar that's attached to the body right there with tabs, so those will have to be undone. Same thing on this side. Then I'm going to have to disconnect the steering rack. Let's see here. So that's going to have to be disconnected so I can pull it back. Take the steering rack out, take the steering wheel out, and then take the dash out. So that's where we're going to start. Okay, making progress. I've got the deck lids off, the hinges off, have the doors off, the dash off, the grill openings are off. The side vents are off, rear deck lid is off, wing is off. So now I'll need to go through and actually get the ropes I use for lifting between the frame and the body, and we'll go from there. Okay, in the past I've just looped some ropes through the fender wells and lifted it up, but as you can see right now, a lot of structure has been removed from the back, so I need to be very careful in how I get the body off so that I don't end up cracking the body. So that's my next plan, is to work on something to get the body off. Okay, here's one of the things that I did to myself to get the body off, and I'm making progress. You can see that it's being lifted off there, and that's my contraption, which will lift the body just fine. However, the body has to go forward to clear this here, which I've done that in the past and it's worked out just fine. The complication is right here. Since I added in the structure for the hinge supports, they're up against the body. I can't push the body that way to clear the front. One of those things I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to get the front off. Okay, solution was to cut off the front support bar. Okay, mission accomplished. Got the chassis out from underneath the body. Got the body stored on the rack over there. Now it's time to go through and clean everything up and then start doing some finish welding. Installing the floors now. So what I'm doing is I'm going through clamping the floor pan down to the brackets there and then welding them and then moving along. Should make it nice and secure. Because I had to cut the front of the car off, I had to make a temporary bracket to mount to the rotisserie. And when it's all done, I can cut these tabs off and weld the other bumper back on once the body's on. Now that I can access the hinge mounting plates without the body on, I made sure the chassis was level and then set the left and right hinge mounting plates at 30 degrees. Using the paper templates, I finished cutting out the sheet metal for the rest of the engine bay. I also made templates for the center console. Alright, cut out all the pieces for enclosing in the center console area. Cap at two sides, and the sides go up against the rockers. So get those installed. Okay, finished boxing in the interior. Now those are all going to get clecoed in for right now. The side ones over there, I can't actually mount those permanently until I get the body on, because I have to get to the access holes for the bolts. But that pretty much should wrap up all the sheet metal stuff. Get those cleaned up, clecoed in, then start with seam sealer. Okay, got the chassis on the rotisserie now. It's going to allow me to go through and clean up the underside, work on that. So this will make it a lot easier to get to some things. I've got new brake booster in. I need to fix a plate that goes underneath that to clear that. This is actually the same booster that's used on the Diablo. But as you can see, it makes it very easy to turn this thing and get to parts that would be hard to get to otherwise. So need to get back to work. Had to make a special plate here to clear the brake booster. That was originally NARC plans, but because I didn't have any 16 gauge stuff cut out the hydrojet, I ended up making it myself. Part of the tedious part is covering up the ends of the tubing so they're protected from weather. Got most of the welding done. So next, I'm going to go through with paint and wax and grease remover, and then start applying seam sealer. Idea is to seal off the cabin area and the front trunk so that those will be protected from the elements. Okay, I'm going to prime the chassis in my shop with some stuff curved up. Not really too worried about it. This isn't going to be a finished paint job. I'm just trying to get some paint on here. I'm going to use the Eastwood primer, and then eventually, hopefully the next day or so, I will end up doing it chassis black. So again, this is not a finished paint job. I'm not too concerned about the environment here, so I'm just going to go ahead and go for it. Okay, I'm using Eastwood epoxy primer, which is a due part, and there's part A, part B. It's mixed 1:1. Okay, now for the actual chassis black, using Eastwood's satin underbody coating. I have 2 quarts of it. Hopefully that will be enough. And I'm using a 1.4 tip, so we'll see how this turns out. Okay, I need 1 more quart. And just some areas I couldn't get to, but I like the finish on it. So I'll order 1 more quart. Yeah. Anyway, it's starting to look like a good chassis. Okay, taking the chassis off the rotisserie now. Allowed me to get to some of the other parts that were a little difficult to get to, like the roll cage and the front of the dash. Now I can take off the temporary bar that I had for the rotisserie and then go through and touch up the spots that I've missed. So all in all, I'm really happy with the chassis black. Sometimes there are life events that take a priority over my project. My youngest son, Brian, who has been helping me with the project, was struck by a car while he was on his motorcycle. Thankfully, he was wearing protective gear, which most likely saved his life. He broke his ankle, fractured part of his tibia, and has a huge hematoma and suffered a brain bleed, but he is alive. He is now home and recovering. No weight on the leg for at least another 3 weeks. Then hopefully start physical therapy and get back to normal activities. So if you ride, please wear your protective gear. He said he is now done with motorcycles. If you haven't subscribed and are interested in watching the progress of this build, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell. We'll update as I make progress, but sometimes life events take another priority. Thanks for watching.